talk about going back in the day, whatever it was, you said 12 years ago, when you were recruiting Drew Gazelle in '98 to come play for Columbia College?
Well, a couple things. You know, when you're out recruiting, so many times you recruit from people you know and friends you develop in the coaching profession. Drew played for a real close friend of mine, Mike Hayes, at Allen County Community College. And typically in our game, you know, one of your friends will call you up and say, hey, Bob, you know, this is somebody you really need to take a look at. And I think you're going to really appreciate his skills. And he needs to be in a program like yours. And so that was the start. And then when Drew came in and played and worked out for us, I remember this because our son Brett was really new in the game and young in that age. And I do remember telling, I don't think this was a recruiting line, it might have been, but I remember telling Drew when he was on his visit, you know, I really appreciate the way you play the game. I hope my son plays it like you do. And I was very sincere about that comment. And as time has proved out, I think there was some similarities in terms of how the game is played and being a smart player, being a tough defender. And I think that's one of the things that Drew really brought to us was his intelligence in the game. And of course, then you can move on to coaching. You know, those kind of guys all of a sudden go into coaching because they think about the game all the time, and they think about the next moves. And to be great defensive players, you have to do that. So I remember a lot of things about those first visits. I think one of my favorite, you were talking about preparation earlier with Drew, was we were playing against Park. Had amazing teams at the time. Had a great player, Walter Bethea, was a first-team All-American. And at that time, we didn't scout as much. And Drew was guarding Walter, and at halftime, I was just listening inside the door to hear what they were talking about. And he was telling all the other guys, hey, this guy's shooting it every time. We got to get close to him. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, it's a smart guy. Yeah. He knows how to guard those guys. Going back to playing against each other as coaches, people have asked me all the time if I felt bad when we won, and the answer was no.
Yes, Drew shook his head before you even got the answer. I kind of figured that was the case, but
and then people asked him the same thing when they beat us, you know, yeah. And I think his answer was no.
That's right. It's about the W. The task at hand, and obviously now joining forces on the sideline, the Cougars at number 25 in the NAIA, and a fun season. You get into some of the, either in a timeout or in a halftime where you have a little more time, obviously, to break some things down. I'm sure, obviously, as you're talking, Coach, there, that your mind works different as a coach. You flash back to some player moments a little bit, and I think some of the guys can probably relate to that, knowing that you were a former player under Coach Burchard and a player in general that carries a little more weight, I guess, when you're trying to teach them something.
I hope so. I think that I think the one thing that I have talked to a lot of the players that are here about is that the program's run much better now than it was then. Not to say it wasn't run well then. I just think the program's run at an incredibly high level. It's very efficient. We do things at a great level. Coach is a much better coach now than he was even when I was there. And again, same thing. Not that we weren't at a good level then, and he wasn't a good coach then, but he's much better now. He sees the game, I think, at a much more experienced level, and he understands when to say the right thing. He understands when to be a motivator. He understands a little bit better of the way to get to players, and so it is nice that they get to see that I appreciate things now more than I did even when I played, and I think that helps them understand, hey, we're at a good place, and this is a good place to be. Most
definitely, and again, that dynamic. You flash back a little bit as we wrap things up here on this episode, but you flash back to the practices in September and all these new faces and trying to put this thing together, especially kind of coming off the previous 2 seasons of the roller coaster of the blue and white team and the title run, and then the next season with all the injuries and that whole set of challenges for you. And then you've got this piece of a puzzle that you're trying to figure out who's going to do what and where. And now you flash forward here as we get ready to go into February, and you're a top 25 ball club.
Well, I think all that put together, Cosmo, you put it nicely together for us.
That's right, yeah.
Is that going back to having Sean and Drew with all the new faces is, I think I've heard them say this once or twice, is what he really means is.
Yeah, we should almost do some like blocking underneath the translation of right.
This is what he said, but what he really means.
Is you better block out better. Come on, yeah, hit your free throws.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been, so far, we got a lot of work to do,
Sure.
Cosmo, but we do have a group that likes to be coached, and that's fun for all of us involved, and we'll see where it takes us.
I think that's obviously one of the top things is younger players watching. Those coaches, for the most part, I think know what they talk about or know what they're talking about, and are trying to teach, and having players that can and are willing to learn and then show you it on the court. That's a winning combination, obviously, between the coaches and the players. And most of those kind of teams and systems find themselves at the top of their leagues and in their tournaments. Drew Grisella, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you this weekend. Good luck going down. Now you go back to William Woods. Now is the on the opposite sideline. Bob Burchard, thank you again for your time. And again, all the episodes here are available on ColumbiaCougars.com. And the full schedule for Cougars, both men's and women's, their conference games as we get set down the stretch here, available on the website as well. Thanks for watching the Cougar Coaches Show on Mediacom Channel 22.